Hi, welcome to this week's edition of Blue Sock, and John, Dave and myself are going to look back over Leinster's European Cup victory against Ulster last weekend, all the other European Cup quarter-finals, and look forward to our big game against Treviso in the Pro 14 next Saturday.
Just before we start, we should point out that none of the stuff we do here today will be based on an April Fool's joke, unlike a certain national newspaper. We do actually research what we talk about. I mean, hard and all as it is to believe.
Who does? Well,
we don't, I swear.
Lads, I don't know. That was an epic game against Ulster. We were fortunate, I'd say, but maybe our experience just shone out in the end.
Yeah, we got possession at the end of the game on 75 minutes and 10 seconds and didn't give it up again. We saw it literally 4 minutes and 50 seconds. Not a lot of teams have the nous or the confidence to do that. And at the end of the day, it was that institutional knowledge almost that saw us over the line. I mean, if you think about the game, we only really played what we consider well. Now, a lot of that was down to Ulster, it has to be said, we'll talk about that. But we really only played well for maybe a 10 or a 15 minute phase in the game. But good teams find a way to win. The champions teams find a way to win. And inexperienced teams, even no matter how good they are, sometimes lose those games. And I think that's what happened to Ulster.
But you even saw that at the, we got off to a dreadful start. Ringrose obviously getting blocked down, 7 points within probably 5 minutes or whatever it was. But we came back. We were
straight down there.
We should have been level pegging. We missed the conversion. But point is, we got back on one try apiece within 3 or 4 minutes of that disaster happening. So they were able to nearly psychologically park that disastrous start and move on. Whereas a lot of other teams, it would be that would just destroy them and they wouldn't get back into the game after having such a poor start.
I remember what was it, the quarter final of 2010 in the RDS against Claremont, where we went, I think, two tries then,
it was,
and came swinging back, and we were lucky to win that one as well.
But I remember the game against Claremont, the semi-final 2 years ago in Lyon. We conceded. I think we went 14 down.
And we couldn't get back,
and we couldn't. It was too big. Claremont were too good on the day, but.
We nearly did get back.
We nearly did.
With the Jack Conan thing, remember you held the guy back?
Yeah.
It was actually it was Levy, I think, was it?
No, it was Jack Conan that held the guy. One of them broke through and one of them held the guy.
Okay. But the game itself, I mean, I don't know if I said it here last week, but the closer I got to the game, the more apprehensive I was getting, and I was just felt they could have had a Croke Park 2009 game in them. Obviously they didn't quite have that level, but I just knew they were going to be damn awkward to beat, because
their defence was.
What do you always say about interpros? There's no given in an interpro, because the teams know each other so well. There was no quarter given, and guys like Darren Cave, who doesn't get to play a whole lot, was everywhere. Whatever he took before the game, whatever mental coaching he took, or whatever he did, whatever breakfast he had, he had some amount of Weetabix anyway, because he was able to close it down. Now, admittedly, we had a kind of inexperienced backline in a way, like Rory O'Loughlin at 12. We didn't have the options as well with.
It's quite a peculiar selection.
With Ross Byrne, I felt that Leo wasn't taking it that seriously, because I could be wrong here, but I got the vibe that, well, if it was a final, Johnny Sexton would be playing. But it's not a final, and hopefully we'll have more games down the road, and we'll put Ross Byrne in. And Ross Byrne did a great job. Kicked he missed too early, but he kicked the winning penalty. Had the stones to do that, but he does play deeper than Sexton, and he doesn't have a break that keeps teams honest the way Sexton does. He doesn't, teams, it's easier to read our game when he's playing at 10, and with O'Loughlin outside him, that's a fair bit of inexperience. I mean, they're both great players, but the combination of the two of them wouldn't be something that they're
But even picking
do that often.
Even picking Larmer at fullback.
That was another one. Yeah.
When Carney was fit,
was there.
Even Adam Burns say, I know that they had their hand was kind of forced with Toner been injured, and therefore they had to pick two. They could only pick
Yeah.
the two foreigners, and
Yeah, and
they
James
needed, a
Lowe had
scrum, they
to.
needed the scrum half, and obviously Fardy had to play.
I think there was an element of say, for example, the selection of Larmer. I think, and it turned out this way. We were quite predictable. The way we played, I mean, was quite predictable. Munster shut it down, and the idea behind picking Larmer, I think, was to try
Bit of
a
unpredictability.
bit of unpredictability, a bit of kind of chaos.
Fantastic when you're going forward.
It's great. It is, but the thing is, I mean, great and all as Larmer is with the ball in hand. I mean, his primary duty as a fullback is security guard, and he's not in Rob Kearney's level there yet. So maybe they should have maybe sacrificed playing Gibson Park for all the time he managed to get on.
Yeah.
For that more experienced unpredictability, if you like, that Lowe would bring.
Anyway,
But like even
we got through it.
we'll talk about Stockdale's try, non-try. But the lead up to that, like Larmer was caught in no man's land, and then he kind of ran in and he ran out and he totally mistimed or got pushed aside for the tackle. You know,
Well, in fairness, Larmer, like all great wingers, or not Larmer, Stockdale, like all great wingers, and it's one of the signs that he will be a great winger is and it's the same you see with Conor Murray as well, actually, as a scrum half. They seem to have a reality distortion field that when people come close to them, they just do stupid things. I mean, we saw it with Pyrgos, and we'll talk about that later. But I mean, the defence for what wasn't a try, I mean, Stockdale just sided through.
fantastic, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Like he got that ball 40 metres out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he had no right.
You'd guys turning inside and out and falling
but
over
like-
one another, the whole lot.
But you know, sometimes you think he's a one-trick pony and he's just a little dink over the top. He does a lot more than that. Like he's really
He did an
strong.
amazing one of them
Oh.
where the ball. It's hard to say. Partly it's how he kicks it, and it's partly luck, but it just bounced straight up into his solar plexus. It was incredible. Like, it was around the halfway line just near the end
we
of the
kicked
game.
a lot to him.
Yeah,
You know, we put up I don't know how many, maybe 6, 7,
instead
8,
of Lowry.
and he mopped them all up. I think now, in fairness to him, both himself and Adam Byrne, they both went up together, and I think twice, if not 3 times, they came down together with the ball. But the point is, he was still able to. He wasn't a liability under that high
Oh
ball at all.
no. Certainly not. And I think maybe that was another kind of maybe tactical error, or maybe it was just a case of you put your bet on something and it doesn't work out. I mean, you would generally favour Adam Byrne in the air.
Yeah.
He's,
Yeah, it is one of his party tricks. All right, absolutely.
I suppose we won't talk about it too much because it was horrific, and especially I got a text today of what actually. But anyway, we have to commiserate with poor Dan Levy. Like he got a serious doing, and
only just back from injury.
like
A wet day.
that lad is just not getting any luck. Is he?
No,
the only luck he has is bad luck.
Yeah.
I mean, and that's a long. I mean, I don't like speculating on guys' injuries, but he's going to be out for a long time. I mean, it's
Well,
not.
they already ruled out the World Cup, which is 7 months away. So
Yeah. Oh, I'd say he'll be out for a long time. I mean, the amount of, but what it's reported to be anyway, and these things can be.
they're
No,
never
I-
downplayed, but
Yeah, they're never downplayed, but he'll be out for a while. He'll be out for a long time anyway, and it's very unfortunate for him.
but he made a difference when he came on.
Oh, he did. You see, that was the
did.
thing. That was. I mean, I said we only really played well for a 10-15 minute period. And that was actually the time that he was on the pitch, because he managed to speed up our ball and slow down theirs, and
Yeah.
he made a big difference, as well as his other stuff that he does in the loose and general play.
well, we're kind of under the pump now with no him, no Josh van der Fleer. Sean O'Brien was never really that kind of a player. He's more of a carrier and a tackler and a burster and
Would Penny, do you think, come into the reckoning?
well,
Not
he's
for Europe,
not in the European
Not in the
squad,
European
and we
squad.
Too late
can't.
to
Yeah.
Can't put him in.
even medical. Like no option.
No.
Okay.
No, we actually did change 2 or 3 players just before a week or two before the quarter final, and that's it. It's only 3 games, but you can't change anybody else. So yeah, we're kind of, it's Sean O'Brien now at this stage, or obviously Deegan might come into the mix, but like he's played 2 games at 7 or something. Sean O'Brien's played a few more than that, let's say. So Sean O'Brien better be covered in cotton wool and
Yeah.
rolled in and out of bed, and
But like you say that, but there's all like the really really tough hard games are coming up now. You've got
exactly.
semi-final of the Pro 14, semi-final of Europe. Let's say we win both of those. You got two finals then.
Well, we've got a
Or we
minimum.
don't.
We've got a minimum of what is it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 games left.
Mm-hmm.
Isn't that right? Yeah.
With
Two
a possibility of
two
7.
semi-finals and 3 league games.
And
Yeah.
two finals. Oh, and a minimum.
Yeah,
sorry,
minimum.
yeah.
He won't be playing any of the league games.
No,
You know?
absolutely not.
It's
No.
simple as that. He mightn't even play depending on how we go in the European semi-final. It's before the Pro 12 semi-final.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Depending on how we
Don't
go.
think-
The final is before the.
Yeah, but depending on how we go in
Pro-12
the European semi-final, he mightn't even play in the Pro 12 semi-final. You know, who knows?
That's
It's 2 league games, European semi-final, 1 league game, European final.
Potentially.
Well, I mean, the way the games go, whether
Yeah.
we're in it or not, that's the way the weekends go.
Yeah.
But I suppose, I think one thing you have to do is you have to give a lot of credit to Ulster. Like they were far better than I expected them to be. I have to say, we can put aside all of the local derby and all that, and that does obviously play a factor.
On
But-
paper, we should be beating them. right?
But like they were really really good. Like it wasn't just
They
a
were really
flash
up
in
for
the
it.
pan. And sometimes you see in local derbies that teams can just put it up to you for 50 minutes. Like Ulster were right in that game. 3 points in it.
Well, it was the 75th minute.
Yeah, until Leinster just said,
No.
"Well, you're not getting the ball back now."
Yeah. They had a game plan. It was the right game plan. They stuck to it and they executed it.
Yeah.
I mean, we can all talk about. I mean, big games turn on moments, and Stockdale's non-try was the moment I think that the game turned on, because it gave a boost of energy to Leinster. One thing that hasn't really been mentioned was Dave Carney's covering work.
Fantastic.
Absolutely fantastic. Okay, he
Never gave up.
Never gave up. He mightn't have had that much of an effect on what happened to Stockdale. But you've got that whole kind of quantum. If a butterfly flaps its wings in Tokyo, it starts snowing in New York. And if the butterfly doesn't flap his wings, and that's what Carney did. He came across. He never gave up.
But if he had just gave a last gasp dive on the goal line, then Stockdale was unhindered. He wouldn't have dropped it because
Yeah.
he would have been under no pressure.
Yeah.
Would have ran in
carrying the
under the
ball.
post as well.
Yeah.
I really thought when they got ahead of us there, was it the Luke Marshall try to put them ahead?
Yes, they put him a point ahead, didn't it?
Well, anyway, I just once they got that, and they missed the conversion. But before they missed the conversion, I think I texted you guys saying that's it, we're gone.
Yeah.
And I really thought we were. I thought we were.
Oh no, we're not.
I thought we were struggling to stay with them, And I thought once they got ahead that close to the end, the fact that they missed the conversion gave us a sniff, and we got back in. But I thought they were awesome on the day. I thought they kind of closed us down, and I hope Toulouse are not watching.
Their line
Even though-
speed was phenomenal.
Not only are they
Really
watching,
was,
but their
yeah.
fucking video analysis is clicking into gear already. I didn't look at who they're away to Toulon next week. I didn't look at who they have the week before the semi-final or what day it's on. Hopefully it's on a Sunday and they're playing somebody tough. Although they're so far ahead in the competition,
I don't think
They could put the
Toulouse
kids
are
out.
finding anyone tough in France at the moment.
they could put the kids out against them. Like ourselves, they're very far ahead.
Actually, it's the kids that are in their first team now, and I think that's what's making a big difference for them. It's the out
Even
fellas.
younger
They
kids.
put the out fellas out for the.
But it was such a contrast of the two matches, wasn't it? The Leinster's match and Toulouse's match.
Mm-hmm.
You had this arm wrestle between two Irish teams, and then in the match on Sunday,
I chuck it about a ton.
it really was. And then even when I was watching it and I was thinking, please let Toulouse win. I can't afford to go to France. And then the guy was sent off after 20. Was like, no. Anyway, but then it was like,
That's exactly what I was thinking.
even
yes.
the try at the end, I was thinking, oh, you're in, oh, Jesus, no. and then the
they
ref
called
goes
it back.
upstairs.
That was some stones on him. I thought he was very good. He's not always very
Yeah,
good.
he was. No,
But-
I thought Luke Pierce was excellent. I really did. I thought he had a really good game.
And that one, calling that back in a cauldron Racing fans, and I know it seemed like there was an awful lot of Toulouse fans there, in fairness, but to call that back shows some neck, and I think it was one of his assistants that,
Yeah.
or it might have been
Kind of
the
said
TMO.
He said to him, I think it was the assistant, said
Was
to
the
him,
assistant actually? Yeah, right.
just have a quick look at was there interference in the line out, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there sure was, because you could see Richie Arnold. It was that he took. He was complaining about it straight away, and fair enough.
Yeah.
It was totally legitimate complaint.
What was your views, boys, on the sending off?
Ooh, he did hit him in the neck. That's bloody dangerous.
I don't know. I mean, there's a lot of people talking about it, but at the end of the day, the laws are the way the laws are.
Yeah.
The regulatory environment is the way the regulatory environment is. It was a sending off. It's as simple as that.
And he did say, was he going down? Is there any way I can, get out of giving him a
I
red?
thought he was dipping down.
Yeah.
But then again, so what? There's nothing about that. I mean, if it doesn't even matter if you tackle low and ride high. The penalty tackles are judged on where it ends up, not where it starts. And he got the shoulder in the neck with force, and that's a red card.
I don't know
every day of the week under the laws as they are.
I don't know if you've ever had a punch or a shoulder, or I'm sure you have in the windpipe, but by God, it's not very pleasant. Like, it really.
No, we were nice. We didn't have people chasing after us the way you did, looking to punch us in the windpipe.
Well, it's not nice. I have to say, it really isn't. And because it's your windpipe. It's your breath is gone as well
From
as
the north side, not the mean
pain.
streets of Milltown.
Thanks, lads.
No, I agree with you though. I mean, it's one of those. It's quite a disabling kind of.
Sure is.
Kind of a.
It takes your breath away, Dave.
It
takes
does.
your breath away.
It's a Berlin punch.
Okay.
Yeah, I saw them live once.
God bless
Oh
you.
God, help
There
me.
you go. Yeah.
What happened? Did you not run
They
fast
backed
enough?
up Frankie Goes to Hollywood.
All right.
All right.
Okay.
I know.
I was thinking, did you take a wrong turn on your way to an Echo and the Bunnymen gig?
Well, anyway, digress. Well, I don't know. When I was watching the match, and maybe it's because I was so up for to lose.
Yeah.
My emotions over it. But I don't know. Like, yeah, I totally get that they're trying to make the game safer, and it is a different game than the one that I used to play. But
if you're playing the game you used to play with the athletes that are playing now,
absolutely,
you'd all
There
be
would
dead.
be dead.
No, of course they would. Of course they would. Not I know. I fully understand what they're trying to do. I'm just saying that when I was playing, that if somebody tackled you, like your man's tackle, but someone of an equally unfit, lumbering second row came in and did that to you, like, you get on with it. Do you know what I mean? It was like no one around you would be calling for a red card.
No, but
Absolutely
they
not.
did change the law or the guidelines certainly on the law in 2007, because I remember one of the first penalties under it was given against Bernard Jackman, where they changed the point where a tackle was refereed from where it happened to where it finished.
Right. Okay.
Because Jackman tackled a guy. It was down in Munster. It was in Munster down in Musgrave Park, and he tackled him, but the ball drove his arm up, and
Was it the 30th of November 2007 by any chance?
I think it may well have been.
When Shaggy scored in the corner.
Yes, it was. Yeah, it was shortly. The law changed at that time, where the referees were told to referee the tackle, not from where it starts but where it finishes, and it's. I mean, at the end of the day, I suppose it was kind of it helped Racing a lot, because I mean, bringing Toulouse down to 14 men meant that Racing, having only 13 rugby players on the pitch, made a big difference. Because
you call Teddy Tama a rugby player?
I am actually. I'm certainly calling him a rugby player. There were two others who were less, who would have been better served working in Teddy's.
Ice cream in
such as the flaky nature of their performances. One of them looks like he spent a lot of time in Teddy's in Dunleary.
That's true, he does. Well, I think the three of those, I presume you're referring to Finn Russell as well,
Yeah.
I think the three of those guys are all bloody rugged individualists, for better or for worse. Like, it's great. They've got a lot of flair. They're beautiful to watch, and it's great for spectators, especially neutrals. But it's not so great if you're a fan of Racing, because they're not consistent enough for this kind of stuff, in my opinion. Obviously,
I agree with you.
they're like Russell is sublime at times. Some of the stuff he does with a rugby ball is just incredible, but
He's also ridiculous.
he's also ridiculous at times. And I think the other two are a bit the same. And they were on both wings this weekend. So yeah,
I genuinely thought that Simon Zebo had been subbed at half time.
Yeah, and we talked about us.
genuinely.
I actually really did. I actually thought because he did. I didn't see. And then by 5 minutes from the end,
You saw him.
he lumbered.
But like we spoke about James Lowe not playing for Leinster.
Mm-hmm.
You know that if James Lowe was playing in an environment like that against an extra man, he'd grab that game by the scruff of the neck,
Yeah,
and you'd be seeing him popping up inside the the centres or inside the fly half and the first centre, demanding the ball, as we've seen him score many a try for Leinster that way. Whereas Zebo was absolutely anonymous, and he was playing full back.
I know it sounds like I'm going to be digging at him, but it's true. James Lowe is fit enough to play that kind of rugby. I don't think Simon Zebo is. He's fit enough to come inside and always be making runs and all. Simon Zebo, I don't think is. I mean, you saw him on the pitch there. He didn't look like a professional rugby player.
he's on the desserts.
I don't think the move to France has been good for him. I think he needs to come home just for the sake of
His own fitness.
his own career. Because he's not an option. But at the same time, considering the smart arse tweet he sent out after the Six Nations, he deserves everything he gets.
What did he say?
Oh, he sent out after Ireland lost to
yeah.
Wales. He sent out a tweet copying in Ian Madigan, who didn't reply, making some joke about hi Ian, how'd you spend your weekend?
Okay.
Okay, not
Not that he's bitter or anything.
No.
Anyway.
Anyway, I suppose the first match of the weekend was Munster, his old team up in Edinburgh. Once again, Dave, Edinburgh or Munster find this miraculous way to win games out of nowhere.
That's what I say. Munster always find a way to win, and that's what they did. I mean,
They looked like not the better team.
No, they
just like we did.
yeah, but
kind of.
they found a way to win. I mean, Edinburgh helped them, with what Schumann did, and it was a stupid thing to do, and it was again like the Stockdale thing we talked about.
I thought the sniper that shot Tyg Byrne was even worse. He should have been carded. They should have found him in the stadium and carded him.
But I mean, it was the turning point in the match. I mean, games turn on small things sometimes, and that was the small thing that the game turned on. It went from Edinburgh being in the lead, and having a penalty
On the
inside
half,
the Munster half to be pinned back on their own 5 metre line, and eventually Earls scoring. And Earls is just in unbelievable form at the moment. He
he's a good lad.
really is.
Yeah, but and I think you mentioned that what Conor Murray did, flipping over the other scrum half Pergos.
Yeah, and got away with it.
Well, got away with it, but created a massive gap for Earlsey. But Earlsey was awake and saw this happening and tapped
Off
and
he
went.
went.
But that's scrum half. What Pergos did was bloody stupid. I mean, the ref was telling him, "Don't do it, don't do it," and he went ahead and he slapped the ball out of his hands and. Murray has that effect on opposition scrum halves sometimes. They get into his personal zone and they seem to lose all cop on or sense and they just do stupid things. And Murray, of course,
Yeah, but
takes advantage of it.
Murray could have been penalised for what he
The
did.
penalty could have been reversed,
But
yeah.
what he did was excellent because he created this huge hole for.
And the thing was, it was looked at. It's not like it wasn't. The TMO had a look at it while they were going through the whole try period thing and said fine, So, but that's Keith Earls. Keith Earls is just in super form at the moment. Really, really is.
Yeah.
Jacob Stockdale is Ireland's best wing, but Keith Earls is Ireland's most effective wing.
Yeah, I agree. So anyway, they come up against Sarries next.
Yeah, and they're out.
Sarries look good, don't they?
They really, really do.
56. I only saw the first half, but 56-30 or something. Jesus, it was close enough in the first half. I mean, they were ahead, but I didn't. What was it? 25-13 or something when I left. Something like that.
But one of their centres got injured, didn't he? He's out. Brad Barrett.
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think he's out. Could be out for the
Sure,
season.
look. He was back after he had his chin wired together and he was back
Yeah,
playing.
he's a tough enough.
You know.
And of course they have Owen Farrell to come in. Remember, Owen Farrell didn't play in that match.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous. Isn't it?
So, I thought they were really, really good. And you see, the thing is, if Saracens were almost any other English or French team, you'd fancy Munster, despite they have a poor enough record in semi-finals. They have a poor enough conversion rate, I should say.
Well, they've been in a lot.
Yeah, and
13-1-4.
yeah,
And this is their
this
14th.
is their 14th, and they've only won 4. They've only been in 4 European finals. But I mean, in terms of the overall, it is a relatively poor conversion rate. But if it was any other team apart from Saracens, you'd fancy Munster, because Munster know how to win. The problem for Saracens is they know all the stuff that Munster know, and they're also better at rugby.
Better players.
They're better players. It's just the way it is. I mean, that Munster team is a lot better than I thought it would be this year.
Yeah, it's
So it is.
coming on fine. Just the only thing is, Saracens could have an off day. You just never know.
They're going to have a lot of guys to have a lot of off days though, because I mean, in a way we kind of were lucky last year that we didn't have to face, or not we didn't have to face, but they had a few
Vunipola was
injuries.
out, and
Yeah,
yeah, they are like if you take both of the Vunipolas and Itoje and maybe one other out, they're not the same proposition.
yeah.
They can't generate.
A lot of their go forward disappears.
Yeah, they can't generate the go forward that they generate with those
Yeah.
guys. So we'll see. We'll see how Billy Vunipola is a bit of an injury joker,
Magnet.
injury magnet. Yeah. So you just never know what's going to happen. Hopefully he doesn't get injured. But is your brother still out, Mako?
I don't think
Or is he back?
I think he's back.
So I think this is the third season in a row that 3 of the 4 sides in the semis are the same. Saracens, Munster, Leinster,
Yeah.
same size.
And also, as soon as Racing lost, that means that there is not going to be a new name on the Heineken Cup, because everybody's won it. So it'll be either a third Heineken Cup for somebody or a fifth Heineken Cup for somebody. Because we've got 2 teams that have won it twice playing each other, and 2 teams that have won it 4 times
Yeah, it's
playing each other. So
quite the aristocrats meeting.
yeah,
It certainly is. And I suppose we'll just briefly talk about Connacht. Spent my Friday night watching that game, and it's just 2 hours I won't get back.
Yeah, they were
Yeah.
poor, weren't they?
I turned
Well,
it off.
But I don't think they were.
at half time.
I think they were deliberately poor in a way.
Yeah.
I think that decisions were made about players and availability because Connacht want to play in Europe next season.
They're putting their eggs into the Pro 14 basket.
Yeah, I think that's the case.
Yeah. And rightly so. Like, I mean, we could have. You sent a little graphic there earlier of the current state of play in the Pro 14, and like, there's no Welsh teams, there's 4 Irish teams, and there's an Italian team and a Scottish team. So, wouldn't that be nice? It'd be lovely to have all 4 teams.
I think the problem is that we're on the eastern seaboard, and we'll be able to hear the whinging.
That's harsh, Dave. Harsh,
But true.
but true.
Do you have any questions from our
Yeah,
viewer?
Well, actually, our viewer asks. Actually, we have 2 viewers this week, and one of them, James Murphy, says, "Oh, wise ones." He obviously said that to the wrong show. Can you solve our 2 out of 3 problem for Toulouse? Lowe has to come in surely. I'd agree with you.
Yeah,
I think we have to take a risk on the sub scrum half.
or we could take a risk on Fardy if Toner's back in good form.
Yeah.
He adds so much to the game. Like, I think he nearly put his name first on the team sheet.
Fairly.
Fardy,
Yeah,
yeah.
I wouldn't
big
disagree
games like
necessarily,
this.
but
Yeah, if it were me and I was looking at it, and depending, I'd say Hugh O'Sullivan will get the next 2 games. I'd hope he'd get the next 2 games anyway. See how he goes.
the other 2 boys aren't exactly bulging with game time either.
I know, but we know that they can play at this level. They've experienced at this level. Hugh O'Sullivan doesn't. So all you can do is run game time into him to see how he goes, and then you can make the decision. Me, Fardy, and Lowe.
Yeah, I completely agree with you.
I just love to get Lowe back in, but we're back to the thing we said last week where we've got plenty of wingers fit. We don't have plenty of second rows or scrum halves fit, so
And
I'm not sure about throwing Hugh O'Sullivan in against Toulouse. Like, I think that's
well, you just hope that
crazy shit.
say Luke McGrath can manage to play 80 minutes.
You
That's
see,
a gamble.
No, it is a huge. I don't deny it's a huge risk. It's a huge risk putting Hugh O'Sullivan on the bench against Toulouse.
Is Nick McCarthy
He's not in the squad.
Not in the squad.
Okay,
He was deregistered when he got injured.
right.
I totally accept it's a big risk. Whether it's a risk too far or not, that's one for the coaches to.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, I mean, when you see the amount of wingers we have, I think we might just go with Fardy and Gibson Park for Toulouse. We'll see. We'll see as we near to it.
Rory O'Loughlin got injured,
Yeah,
or not? Well, I think he strained the hammer.
yeah. I don't think it's serious.
I
I
don't
don't
think
think
it's
he'll be back next week or anything, but
Well, he's got 2.5 weeks to get himself tip top.
How far off is Henshaw?
I think we could have Henshaw, Toner and Sexton for the semi.
Yeah, I think Toner was looking. Well, according to the.
Well, he's playing for Lansdowne, right?
According to the Irish Times, which is the paper of record, he must be. So he must be.
Paper of
But-
broken record.
Paper of broken record with this joke. I know I'm flogging it to death, but yeah. So I don't know. It's the hardest question. It's one of the hardest selection choices that Leinster coaches have had over the last 12 months. But it's a good position to be in.
Well, they had to make this decision before. Like last season, they
Yeah.
had to make it as well,
Think-
and they chose
Gibson Park.
to leave Lower.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. One decision that, well, I suppose we don't know is whose decision it was for Jack.
Well, we do have a question.
Okay,
on that. So
fine.
this will tee it
Okay.
up. It comes from Brian Hughes. He says, I get the RFUs want to spread talent across the provinces, but it is an unfair disadvantage regarding medium to long-term planning within the squad and NIQ selections. If players keep getting whipped out of the province, where other provinces can be more settled and add in a targeted manner to improve weak positions, keeping good growth continuity. I presume he's talking about the fact that guys are moving mid-contract.
Yeah.
And then if you plan to have Jack McGrath until 2020 and suddenly he's gone a year early, it makes a difference to your long-term planning. So that would be the thing. But that tees off your question, Jason.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we don't know. We don't know his personal circumstances. We don't know.
No.
We're just speculating. We're reading websites, and it's all.
I think we really have to take a look at Cullen and Lancaster. I mean, what have they done?
Not standing up for their.
No. I mean,
Or what?
in every other code, in every other team, in every other code, successful teams have to beat players off with a stick. And yet here we are, the most successful team in the game, and we've lost 4 internationals in the last 12 months. What are they doing wrong that they can't keep these international players happy, that they so want to leave? Because we've all been told that they've all made it's their own decision to leave. They've all left under their own volition. And we must believe that because it's true, if they say it.
Well, you're saying it quite sarcastically.
I'm saying it extraordinarily
Well,
sarcastically.
yeah, but I mean, but first of all, Jody Murphy's been interviewed umpteen times, and he has come out and said, I wanted to leave because I want to play for Ireland, and the only way I can play for Ireland is if I'm starting playing for my club on a weekly basis. And he wasn't playing. Now, through some injuries last season, he managed to get subbed up into the starting Leinster team, but he was only subbed up because there was, if they had the entire complement of back rowers fit, he wouldn't have been on the starting 15. Like, international rugby, it's not soccer, it's not...
Bloody do them now.
The point is that international rugby is where it's at. You're playing in front of 50, 60,000 people at international level. In big European games, you're playing in similar sized crowds. But we play Treviso next week and it'll be 11,000 in the RDS. Do you know what I mean?
Or whatever.
Well, still charges 25 quid for it, Jay.
Or whatever.
Or whatever. But the point is though, Dave, that the players want to play in the big European games in order that they're select. Like you see Sean O'Brien. Sean O'Brien is so far ahead that he could have he has had probably 5-6 games of poor standard. And yet he's still starting for Leinster in a quarter final. He's still starting for Ireland and Wales in the biggest international match of the Six Nations, the final round of it, and he's playing in the quarter final. And okay, Levy's injured now, and Josh Van Free, we don't know, he'll be back. Like
We know it won't be this season.
Yeah, but he's gonna O'Brien will be starting in the European semi-final as well.
Yeah, you would have thought so. Yeah.
So,
I'm not saying that's a bad thing, but it's our only choice. It's not. We won't be having any selection
worried
decisions.
A prop.
No, but I'm
You know,
I'm trying to work it back
Anyway, back
into
to
the argument
Jack McGrath,
of you went through before, and he's moving to England,
Yeah.
but he's moving to England because
Well, his career in Ireland is
winding down,
winding down, shall we say.
and someone is prepared to pay him a shed load of money.
and more significantly,
more power
give
to
him a
his elbow.
3-year contract.
Yeah, exactly. And more,
That's what he's.
more power to his elbow, getting whatever he's going to make.
The ones that are of issue are the three J's. That
Geordie, Jerry, and Jack.
Yeah, I mean, those are guys that have been, and guys we could use this season.
Well, we know Joey, right? That's an entirely different story. He was sent in there for one particular reason, one particular only, the benefit of Irish rugby, of Team Ireland.
Mm.
I don't believe that. I believe that Geordie Murphy went to Ulster in order for Team Geordie, that it'll benefit him going up there to play because he wants to get on the Irish starting team.
Well, but haven't they all said they made a decision of their own volition, and it was all their decision? But and some people believe some of them, and some people don't believe others of them. I don't believe any of them.
Well, two things, right? One, whatever your opinions are, you're going to project them onto a situation where we don't know that. If you're a person who's very gung ho pro IRFU Team Ireland, you'll say, oh yeah, well, of course it was his decision. Well, that's what they said, so it must be true. If you're, pro Leinster and feck everybody else, then you're kind of more likely to go, oh, no matter what he said, I don't believe it because it doesn't suit my agenda.
There's some of Colin and
I'm not saying that either of those agendas is right. I'm just saying that like it or not, we're owned by the IRFU. Like it or not,
I agree, and that's why we can.
And
David Newsford is in charge, and that's why we can fit every single Australian Super Rugby fan into this room. Because that system has worked so well there. The franchising system that he seems to be determined to introduce into Irish rugby worked so well everywhere else it's been introduced.
Like New Zealand. But anyway.
But it hasn't worked in New Zealand. So it hasn't. The Air New Zealand Cup gets bigger crowds than Super Rugby, except for the really big games. It hasn't worked in New Zealand. It hasn't worked in South Africa. And it hasn't worked in Australia. It was the only successful... It didn't work in Wales.
I'm not advocating it myself.
Had proper provinces, and if you destroy that system, then you lose.
People have moved.
I totally agree.
So people have
That's
moved.
nonsense because I know it's
before.
absolute nonsense.
I don't agree that it hasn't worked anywhere, but
all the time. Billy Holland's father played in Wanderers and played for Leinster.
yeah, that's a
That
different
doesn't matter.
era. I mean, that's
Tony Ward
amateur
played.
rugby is just.
Your Dave's going on about heritage and
franchises. Where was Billy Holland born and growing up, and where did he go to school, and where does he do his shopping, and where does he live in Munster? It's not like he was ripped out of one place or moved from one place to another. I mean, he is a Munster man. By your argument, what's his name? Heaslip should be playing for Israel.
Who said that?
I think you're taking each other at cross purposes here.
But the point is that one of the things that caused the growth in Irish rugby was the success of all Irish rugby, not just the national team. It was the success of the provincial teams as well. And part of their success is based on a sense of place. If you remove that, you weaken what has made Irish rugby strong.
Well, that's where I do agree with you, Dave. That very sentence is exactly where I do agree.
15 players play rugby on a team.
Yeah.
And then you got another 7 in the subs. So what did the other guys do that aren't... Did you just stockpile them all and say, well, you know what, you go off and play for Lansdowne and UCD and you won't get a look in. Like Jack McGrath...
You have to rotate your team because...
So therefore you're watering down your team because some weeks your starting 15 doesn't play and other weeks...
That'd all be grand for the fact that, say, one province had 5 out halves. So you're talking about stockpiling, and it hasn't made the player any better, has it? Has Joey Carberry come on appreciably since he left Leinster? I don't think so.
Well, he set up a fantastic try for Earls in Six Nations in Scotland.
Yeah, he did. But by doing what he would have been doing with Leinster anyway.
Well, he's been very unfortunate with injury.
He has been very unfortunate with injury. I just don't think I don't think it did. Well, it'll all be seen in the World Cup what the benefits are, but it doesn't seem to be doing a whole lot at the moment.
Well, the thing with Jack McGrath, going back, this is probably the genesis of our debate. Jack McGrath, we've no idea of what his circumstances are.
That's it.
We don't know. He might have, for all we know, he might have had a stand-up, bust-up with Leo and
Stu,
all the other coaches. We don't know.
Yeah, well, that's true.
We don't know.
It's just funny how...
But we're just presuming that the IRFU... you're making an assumption based on nothing except your own prejudice that he has been told by Nucifora to move to Ulster. That's it. Just for something that's in your mind.
Yeah, absolutely. I totally
but you're making
think
your
he's been
entire...
told by Nucifora
But you're making your entire mind.
We
don't know.
We know of players who have had personal circumstances who wanted to move to Leinster and haven't been allowed.
Do we?
Yes, we do.
How do we know this?
Because they've said it.
Because you read it on the
Because
internet.
they've said it out loud. You know, we're talking about Donegal Ryan. We're talking about Simon Easterby back in the day wasn't allowed to move to Leinster. So, you know, you can talk about, you know, this thing, but it seems to be a one-way flow, Jason.
Well, it does, but that's, you know, because we have our house in order and we're producing all the talent, and the attitude is, well, look, just produce more talent. And, you know, if you lose Jack McGrath, sure, you'll get to somebody else from somewhere else and it'll be all great. And
But
I do agree.
Maybe the IRFU or maybe the Bods in Leinster, we don't know, look and they see Jack McGrath, he's hitting 30 now. How much longer is he going to be
2 years younger than
justified?
Cian Healy.
Okay, but Cian Healy is playing the best rugby of his career.
Oh, yeah.
Jack McGrath isn't playing the best rugby of his career. Jack McGrath has gone from being a starting Ireland and Lions prop to not getting in the Leinster quarter-final team at the weekend.
Mm-hmm.
So therefore, but my point actually being that Leinster maybe are looking at his demographics, at his stats, at his attitude. We don't know, and they're looking at Byrne coming through, and they're saying this guy is well worth his place on the team, and that's why we're picking Ed Byrne over Jack McGrath. And maybe Jack McGrath says, "Hang on a second, I'm in a bit of a rut." Many people get into ruts and they say, "Do you know what? I need a new environment. I have to go. I, for my benefit, have to move." We
And
don't
maybe
know.
that's what
And
happened.
that's now look, that could be completely off the mark, or Dave could be completely right. I don't know.
I don't disagree with you that that's a possibility, or even a probability. But at the same time, it'll be the third time in the space of a year that it's happened. You know, and you know, when something happens once, it's a coincidence. When it happens twice, it's an accident. When it happens 3 times, it's deliberate. You know.
Yeah, well, at the end of the day, it's always going to be the player, ultimately going to be the player's choice. But there's a difference between the player instigating it and going, "Listen, lads, I want to go somewhere else because I need to get game time." That's the player completely instigating it. And the other side of that coin is, look, will you get into Munster and be an out half? Okay, I know you don't fancy it, but you know maybe you'll change your mind. Okay, well, how about this? You're not Ireland's second choice out half unless you go to Munster and play. You know,
But go for a year, actually, and then do you know
I'd
what?
go
I
for
might
2
stay.
years.
I might stay for 2 more years.
Yes.
but look,
So I'm actually
I'm-
enjoying it and want to stay here.
I'm
But
not
if-
saying
if
for a
you-
minute that that's what's happened, but I'm
Well,
just
we don't
saying
know.
that we don't know. And
So I think it's kind of pointless having this debate if we don't know, because we're
Oh, we have pointless debates about everything, things we don't know about. So, but I mean, the other side of that is, of course, if you see a guy who, you know, is reputed on the internet to have turned down a move, despite being the out half in with a European champions team, and he doesn't get any Six Nations action.
well, look, what I was developing there was, look, even in those circumstances, and I've deliberately made in extreme circumstances, it is ultimately the player's choice. Okay, it's a bit more of a Hobson's choice if you're being told, you can stay where you are, but you know we're not going to be as likely to pick you as if you go where we want you to go. I mean, you've still got a choice. You're still going to have a contract you've still got a contract with whoever it is. In Joey Carberry's case, it was actually Leinster. It wasn't a central contract. With Jack McGrath, it is a central contract, so he's contracted to the IRFU. Whether that makes any difference, I don't know. But ultimately, the player it's a professional game is the first thing. Like while a lot of the players may have grown up being fans like us, when they go into it professionally, they're not fans like us. They're professional athletes, and it's a career.
and
They don't. I'm sure it factors into them that they'd love to stay. I'm sure Ian Madigan would have loved to stay and play. All his family support the team. All his friends support the team. I'm sure he would have emotionally loved to stay in Leinster and played all of his rugby for his whole career there. But it's also a financial decision. It's like if somebody
but they're
coaches
not,
you
they're,
as
they're
a
not making
to go to
Lionel
another
Messi.
company.
Exactly, but they're not making Lionel Messi type money.
No, but they're making a lot more than you and me.
For sure, but they make it for a lot shorter
Shorter time.
Unless you get a really good deal on the continent, you're not going to make keep you for the rest of your life money at a rugby.
No, like
You'll do okay, but you won't. You're not going to.
What you could set yourself
A good
up
rugby
for
player,
life money.
a good rugby player who retires is still going to have to work. You know,
course they are.
whether it's in
And-
the media or whatever, they're still going to have to work. I mean, I
there's
accept
very,
that.
There's very few Brian O'Driscoll.
Yeah, that's what I mean. I accept that. But at the same time, we keep priding ourselves on this isn't soccer and stuff like that. But if we remove things,
but once we started paying players, it pretty much became soccer, just without the same paychecks.
Yeah.
Like the people are going, like you saw Ty Byrne, hamming it up to get a penalty, which ultimately won his team the game. But that's what happens in sport. And
Look at Bloodgate.
But look at Bloodgate. But to sort of say that didn't happen back in the day is also, people feigned injuries, feigned, true digs. If it meant getting the other guy injured, you threw a dig.
I just think, my whole thing is whatever about the damage to Leinster, I think the damage to rugby in Ireland, if you remove the sense of place from the provincial game, will cause harm. I think in other countries it has caused harm. I think it will cause harm here eventually, if it keeps going like this. I think
if people are from, like, the majority of people, and the way that it's all structured here, that you've got the provinces, the clubs in the provinces producing, and the schools producing players for it. Some will drift. You're going to have some leakage, but generally speaking, it's the core of the players are from that area, and more importantly, they all, like, I was listening
Well, only Darren Sweetenham came into the Munster team the other day. More than half of them would have been from outside Munster.
Yeah, but like I was listening to...
He tipped the balance.
Driving over here, I was listening to a fella being interviewed, and, with a very broad London accent, talking about playing for Ireland over in Gibraltar. But... So he's not from Ireland. He might have some lineage, or he might not. Some of them don't have very strong, like Cascarino or Rice or whoever. Whatever their ties might be quite dubious. But like, even the CJ Standers or foreigners that have naturalised, Bundy Aki, like, they've chosen to come and work and live and raise their children and have their life living in this country. Like, it's, CJ Stander, he might, there might be better players playing in Leinster, in our opinion, than him. But the fact is that he's lived in Munster for the last 5 or 6 years, moved his family over there, and that's where he's put his roots. Or Dougie Howlett has stayed here.
He's working for the Cork hurling team, actually. But that's what I mean. That's what I mean about the importance of place and the importance of a sense of place. If we weaken that, and you were talking there about clubs and schools, and that's right. That's how it is now. But, only 10 years ago, the Leinster Academy became a third level academy, a third level educational institution. Mm. How long is it before it follows the route where it becomes a second level educational institution and starts taking guys in post junior cert?
Like soccer.
Like most professional sports. The American sports are an outlier in the way that they do things. Most professional sports academize players at the age of 15 or 16. And how long is that going to happen? Certainly in European.
Well, like, we say Joey Carberry for an example. Like, he grew up in Athy, playing rugby for Athy. Like, when he moved back from New Zealand,
he was about
with
12
his
or so when he moved.
Yeah, but that's where he grew up, was in Athy, when he was living in Ireland. And it was only his final 2 years that he got a scholarship to go to Blackrock.
Yeah.
So he
wasn't
part
only
of...
been 1 year, actually, wasn't it?
I think it was... No, I think it might have been 2.
Was it 2?
Yeah. I'm not sure.
But like, that's unlike, that those scholarships and bringing fellas through that wouldn't have traditionally have come from that area is not a new thing. Like, that's been going on for a long, long time in Blackrock.
It's certainly the case in a lot of the senior cup schools. The better ones are the ones with more budget, if you like. They have done that. Although I think there are limits on them doing it now. I think there's only so many scholarships you're allowed to offer, or so many scholarship boys you're allowed to play. There's something to come in. Anyway.
Have we run out of time for talking about the Pro 14 now, or are we...
No, we've loads of time.
Okay. Good.
But the other thing is that, you look at the academy system on the continent and in England in terms of, even the French rugby academies. The idea of you growing up and then going straight to your local club isn't really a thing anymore. It is in some cases. But a lot of guys move all around France because that's where they get offered academy places in the GIF system. And the same will happen here, and we have to be very, very careful about it.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, the Irish team is the giant of Irish rugby, but it stands on the shoulders of others. And if you weaken those shoulders, then the Irish team comes crashing down.
But look, if you buy the match program, you know, it used to hardly even have Leinster or Munster or Ulster, and it was always their clubs. Now, like, the nominally will have, like, and some players don't actually have clubs. You know, they'll just, I saw somebody, I can't remember who it was, actually wasn't affiliated to any club. And it's
I
just,
noticed that at the weekend, actually, there were a couple of players who weren't affiliated to clubs, or their club affiliation wasn't mentioned anyway in the programme.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I mean, it's hard. I just think that if they keep doing this, unless it's very carefully managed,
Well, that's the key. Has to be very carefully managed.
it will cause problems down the line.
But do you think the
But do you think
RFU
that
don't
people-
know
but
that?
do you
I'm
not
sure they
think
do.
I don't understand why people are getting so uptight about it. Because if a fella's not happy and wants to move, then let him move.
Of course.
I don't have any problem with
But
that.
how do you, like, you see? But just say tomorrow I decide I want to change jobs. There could be a myriad of reasons why I want it.
Yeah, and I have no problem with somebody who's unhappy in their place of work, moving place of work. I mean, I'm a bit of a lefty. That's what I believe in, the freedom to take your skills, you know, wherever. But at the same time,
So when 3 of them in 3 years want to move, you think this is some sort of
well, no, it's
Conspiracy.
in 1 year. In 1 year, Jay. I think I'd to take it back. I mean, if you lost 3 senior staff in a year, your HR department
happens.
would want to know what was going on.
No, that happens.
Why is your
Happens.
retention rate so poor?
Does.
But at the same time,
But
look,
like Leinster probably employ 200 people.
yeah,
You know, like it happens that people move for various
people do
different
move their
reasons.
jobs. But the thing is, a lot of what again, I go back to the thing. It's a lot of Irish rugby is built, even the Irish team, because it's a national team, or is built on a sense of place. Even if they're, I mean, it's even in our national anthem.
you say-
Some have come from a land beyond the sea.
So are you saying that just because Jack McGrath
No.
just needs to be wed to
What I'm
Leinster
saying
and
is
can't
the
move?
process has to be very carefully managed. Otherwise, it'll weaken the strength of the provincial ethos. It'll cause people to think them as more like franchises, and franchise rugby has failed.
I think people will support Leinster or Ulster or Munster or Connacht because it's the team they're interested in rugby. It's a professional team that's playing in the European Cup. It's playing in the Pro 14, and it's their team it's represents them. It doesn't necessarily look.
I know we're
If
100 years.
James Lowe scores a try, do you sort of care? Well,
But what if it starts to not represent them? That's my point.
Well, we're now 100 years
I
down the
don't
road
get that. Does
on
Man
soccer.
United not represent people?
That's where I was going. Like, there are famously English Premiership teams who have no English players,
But
or
people,
have had
and-
played games with no
and they
English
get
players.
50 or 60,000 people in their turnstile every week. They get watched by millions throughout the world.
Yeah.
But if that's what you want, I mean, I've not, you know, spend the money, bring them in, and you know that'll be fine. But it won't be a Leinster representative team anymore.
See, that's never going to happen with the way the current structures are, because Irish rugby wants a stream of players.
Yeah, no,
coming
and
through.
I accept that. What I'm saying again is
So that's why
this
they will
can't
have
be
to
the
manage
thin
it.
end of a wedge. It has to be the wedge. This has to be the wedge itself. It's all right making tactical moves around, but you have to be careful about what you do. Otherwise, people will start to question the basis of what you're doing.
Okay.
Sure. I suppose my next point is going to lead on from what we just spoke about for about 4 hours. The Pro 14. You mentioned it earlier, John. There's the 4 Irish teams are in it.
Yeah.
There's one Italian in the
And the
playoff
Scottish team.
As it stands.
as it stands, and one Scottish, two Scottish, and
One Scottish.
one Scottish team.
Scottish and Italian and 4 Irish.
Now,
That's it.
we can go down the road of having just one super club in Ireland and keeping all of the talent here and let just the locals in the provinces play.
Put
amongst
Ireland into the Pro
themselves.
14.
And just have all of.
Which Wales have already done that, only in international level.
But then we have. But then, do you want us to go down the same route?
No, I don't, no.
Or I just have one super club and say, oh well, like Leinster's always going to be that, and off we go.
No, but that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is you have 4 strong provincial identities. If you start to erode those identities,
But
then
if-
you have a problem.
if-
If you look
Oh,
at
we're going back in the circle now,
you made a
lads.
joke about Wales. One of the problems Wales have is the regions don't have any identity for people to buy into.
Okay, let's take Ulster for one example, and I'm going to move on very quickly. Let's say Ulster weren't allowed to have anyone that wasn't born in Ulster playing for their team.
But I never said that. I never even
Let's
suggested it.
but let's just say Do you think that the people in Ravenhill, or sorry, people in Ulster, would be all that bothered about going to watch Ulster in Ravenhill on a fairly regular basis? You know, I saw a friend of mine sent me a stat the other day. We've sold 12,000 Leinster season tickets this so far. Do you know how many Ulster have sold so far? 2,000.
Really? Wow.
Yeah.
That's scary.
Yeah.
They were up at around 8 or 9.
8 or 9,000 last
Well,
year.
so far in their pre-sales, 2,000. That's what I...
Wow. Anyway.
Anyway, look, let's go back. And we talk
Meanwhile,
about a
back
bit
at the
of
Pro
rugby.
14.
So we play Benetton Treviso. That's obviously quite a... we're through, but Benetton are third in the standings, and they're in our division as well.
They'll be wanting to turn us over.
Yeah, it's a stickier match
Again.
than it has in previous years, because Benetton are playing really, really well.
They beat us the last time in Dublin.
They beat us
Yep.
the last time in Dublin. They're playing really well, and they have something to play for. Whereas we don't necessarily have the same need to win that they do.
Oh, of course we don't. And you know the team is going to be rotated based not on whether we win or lose, but based on who needs game time, what combinations we want to have together, what all of that stuff. Who needs to be rested. So, it does make a little bit of a mockery of the fixture itself, but it's a big fixture for them. It's not a big fixture for us, and if we happen to lose it, we're not exactly going to cry. But that's
2 defeats on the trot, though, wouldn't it?
these are the breaks. The other side of that is they beat us last year, and there's no way any 15,
Back-to-back
23
losses
players
to Benetton.
are going to want back-to-back losses in the RDS, because losses in the RDS are so rare that before Treviso loss, I think it was way back to the Dragons about 3 Februaries previous. So we don't do losing in the RDS very often in the league.
Whilst there mightn't be
Especially.
competition motivations for the players, there would be individual motivations. There is a semi-final coming up. There are places to be won in the 23 because of injuries, and because guys are coming back from injury. So there's a lot of guys who would be, quite motivated to do very well. I mean, obviously James Lowe hasn't played for a while.
He'll get a trundle, I'm sure.
Devon Toner, will he be back? Will he be available for selection? He looked like he was in training and he was blocked. So he was obviously doing line-out stuff. You've got other guys who might be on the fringes, like Max Deegan. He won't see it as an opportunity. You know what I mean? He'll see an opportunity there in the back row.
Well, you've got to think that he is at worst going to be on the bench and
Yeah.
lose. Who else is there?
And when do we think Sexton's going to be back?
Who knows?
Who knows?
He's played one game for us. In fact, he hasn't. Has he played for Leinster this
He
year?
hasn't played for
He hasn't
Leinster
played in the
this year,
league
No.
for Leinster anyway.
No, he hasn't played for Leinster this year.
Has he not at all?
No.
Yeah, Munster and
His last game was
Thomond
Munster
Park.
and Thomond Park, yeah.
So
Yeah, but like he's
knows?
He's not going to have. He's only got this game and
And
Glasgow.
Glasgow.
Before, and presumably.
They may hold him back until the Glasgow game. I mean, it's a home game as well, which is great, and it's on grass. So if he does have any kind of leg-related injuries, they're not taking the risk of putting him out on a plastic pitch.
Yeah.
So it's going to be interesting to see how they select the team. There's a space there as well at inside centre.
well,
If
you have
Robbie
to think.
Conor
Henshaw-
O'Brien?
I don't think Robbie Henshaw is going to come back. Conor O'Brien's in the European squad.
Yeah, I
so-
would. I to be honest, I would. I mean, I'm a big fan of Rory O'Loughlin, but not as an inside centre. I would have gone with Conor O'Brien myself. Now he's quite inexperienced, but he has all the talent.
I think they might, just to be prudent, they might just play him in
He's-
this game in case Henshaw's not back.
Well, he's
Yeah,
a good
in time.
placeholder for Henshaw as well, because he's a big lad and he does all that kind of, getting over the gain line malarkey.
He's got good hands as well.
He
The other
does.
thing I wonder is, does he have a kicking game, which sometimes you need it inside centre. Although Leinster don't. I mean, we had Issa. Robbie's got a good kicking game as well. So I don't know if Conor O'Brien has it, but he seems to have a huge boot on him when he does lash the ball.
Does, yeah.
Yeah. I wonder if they might play Rob Carney just to give him a run.
I'd say so, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. You never
Well,
know.
they have. I mean, Hugo Keenan's off at the sevens because the Hong Kong qualifying tournament's on this weekend. So Keenan's out of the reckoning. So you're really talking between Larmer, Daly, and Rob Kearney for that fullback spot for Toulouse. And I think that against Toulouse away, we saw the issues that we had with with Jordan Larmour. So I think Rob Kearney needs the games to run some fitness and form back into him.
Big time.
Yeah.
Okay, just looking briefly at some of the other games. One was all the
There's
Irish.
some good ones.
Yeah, but the three Irish ones just stand out for me. We Connacht play Zebre away, so like I'm just thinking of qualification for them. They really like they don't have the option to qualify for Europe through the back door of
Yeah.
the Challenge Cup, so they've got to do it through their league standing in the Pro 14.
Is there a playoff this year, do you know?
Yeah.
There is, yeah.
2-4 place.
Yeah, no, I was just wondering.
So they play.
Or depending if there's a South African team above,
So
which there won't be.
they play Zebre away, but Ulster and Ulster are also challenging them for a playoff place, and Munster, Glasgow host Ulster at the weekend, so that's Glasgow out of Europe,
That's a big one.
Ulster out of Europe, so it's the two.
Glasgow-
semi-finals.
Glasgow don't need it so much. They want to stay ahead of Munster and get first place. And Munster have easier games than they do, so I suppose they kind of do need it if they want the home semi.
There's an interesting
Rather than
tactical
the
thing
home
for Leinster we discussed before
playoff.
about kind of if we were in a position like in the Glasgow game to structure our opposition in the semi-final. How seriously would we take it? If we needed to beat Glasgow so Munster could finish top, so we could avoid them, or if we not let Glasgow win, but if we were less determined against Glasgow so that Munster finished second, because I'd much rather play Munster in the semi-final than the final kind of thing.
I don't know. Glasgow.
Maybe your old friend Mr. Nusafora might intervene.
Yeah, he might.
know.
Yeah.
And say, actually, no, you have to win.
He'd
this
send
game.
Joey back to Dublin.
Glasgow are at home in the final. Don't forget if they make it. The
Yeah.
final is in Glasgow, so
Yeah.
do you really want them in the final?
I hope they'll have,
Maybe-
they'll have cleaned up all the bile from the old firm match
Maybe you
in time for the final.
maybe you prefer Munster in the final under those circumstances. I don't know. It's not a big. I wouldn't be.
Could be two Leinster and Munster finals.
Wow, imagine that. That nearly happened before, actually.
Mhm.
In 2012,
Yeah.
where we could have had them. Sorry, not 2012. When the hell was it?
No, it was 2000.
11.
Yeah,
Or 10, was it?
Anyway,
2011.
happened in 2003, where they both lost the semi-final against French
but
opposition.
All I'm saying is, I'd much rather play Munster at home, in a match because you want every advantage you can get, kind of thing. That's all I'd say.
Well, look at last year. We put out a slightly weakened team against them in the semi-final. Still won
At home.
At home,
Yeah. That's my thing. That's what I'd say. Like, I mean, I don't think it'll come to it anyway because I don't think there's anything we can really do the way the games shake out. But this game, Benetton would be really fired up. It'd be a good game for us actually because the two games are actually going to be tough games, but not too tough.
Yeah. Well, I mean, hopefully it'll be good.
and they put the completely irrelevant game on Sunday, which is handy.
Which is?
Southern Kings at home to the Dragons.
Fair play if you want to watch that
The
one.
players'
Actually-
mothers will be watching that.
Southern Kings are
Maybe.
one of the more fun teams to watch in the Pro 14 because they score an awful lot of tries, and because they're so shit defensively, the opposition scores an awful lot of tries
Usually
as well.
more than them.
Yeah, usually more than them, but it won't be the case
Not
with
in the
the Dragons. So it might actually be. I mean, it won't be one for the purists, but it'll be a lot of fun to watch. I'd suggest.
Absolutely. Anyway, boys, as ever, thanks a million, and thanks very much for putting up with us.